I felt her fingertips trail up the inside of my thigh while her husband, my best friend, was asleep in the next room. The lace from her white wedding dress was still on the floor beside my feet, and my breath was caught somewhere between disbelief and a moan I could not hold back. Her mouth pressed into my collarbone, hot and desperate, while the ring on her finger, the one Jason had slid onto her hand just 6 hours earlier, dug into my side as she clutched me tighter. I should have stopped her. But instead, I whispered her name. Layla. She kissed me harder. Before I go any further, I want to thank every single one of you who has subscribed to this channel. Your love and support have turned this into something bigger than I ever imagined. And to those of you watching for the first time, or who keep coming back but have not hit that subscribe button, I cannot wait for you to join the family. Your clicks, comments, and reactions are the fuel that keeps this going. So, make sure to drop your thoughts in the comments after this. Trust me, I want to hear what you think about this one. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Claire. I grew up in South Carolina. I was the tomboy in a Catholic family full of boys, all tough skin and scraped knees. Jason was my next-door neighbor, my best friend since we were 6. We were inseparable, the kind of kids people assumed would grow up and fall in love. But we never did. Not like that. Jason was like my brother. And Layla? She was the storm that ruined all of that. I met her 2 years ago at Jason's company barbecue. She was standing under a striped umbrella in a tight black dress, eating strawberries like she had no idea what her lips were doing to everyone around her. Jason introduced her as the girl who makes spreadsheets sexy, and I remember laughing awkwardly. But the second Layla looked at me, something shifted. It was not just that she was beautiful. It was the way she held eye contact a second too long. The way her smile dipped lower on one side. The way my stomach twisted when her hand brushed my arm. I told myself I was imagining it. But that feeling never went away. Over the next few months, the three of us spent more time together. Double dates. Movie nights. Weekend road trips. I watched them fall in love, or at least I tried to believe they were. But then, one night, Layla and I got wine drunk on Jason's porch while he was inside making burgers. She leaned close and told me my laugh was dangerous. I thought she was joking. Until she kissed me. Just once. Soft. Quick. Almost like it had not happened. She pulled back and whispered, "Forget it." But I never did. She apologized days later. Swore it was the wine. Said she was nervous about getting engaged and confused about everything. I told her I understood. I told her it was fine. But it was not fine. Because from that day on, I noticed everything. The way she always sat next to me, even when there was space elsewhere. The way her hand lingered on my back when she hugged me. The way she smiled when Jason was not looking. We became addicted to pretending nothing was wrong. Until her wedding night. Jason had asked me to give a speech. He said I was the only person who knew him better than he knew himself. I stood up there with a champagne glass in hand, heart thudding in my chest, watching her in that white dress, watching her smile as she held the hand of the man who trusted me with his entire world. I talked about loyalty. I talked about friendship. I talked about love. And I wanted to vomit. Later that night, after the reception, they invited a few close friends to the honeymoon suite for a final toast. Jason passed out before the champagne bottle was empty. Layla and I stayed up, sitting on the carpet, laughing about nothing. She leaned against me. Her bare shoulder pressed against mine. And then her hand moved to my thigh. We did not stop. I let her kiss me. I let her take off my dress. I let her whisper how long she had wanted me. I let her cry against my skin afterward and tell me she did not know what this meant. And I hated myself. Because I did not know what it meant either. All I knew was that my best friend was asleep down the hall, dreaming about a future with a woman whose hands had been on me, not him, the night she became his wife. I did not sleep that night. I lay next to her on the carpet of the honeymoon suite, naked from the waist up, with her wedding dress bunched like a forgotten sin in the corner. She had drifted off, half on top of me, lips parted, one arm still slung over my stomach. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the sound of Jason's soft snoring in the room just 10 feet away. Everything about it felt wrong. And yet, it had also felt more right than anything I had touched in years. The next morning, she slipped back into her white gown and fixed her hair like nothing had happened. Jason had already gotten up and gone to grab coffee for the three of us. When he walked through the door, smiling like the luckiest man alive, Layla kissed him like she had not just betrayed him with me. I could not look him in the eye. I told them I had a migraine and left before breakfast. Weeks passed. I tried to go back to normal, work, errands, texting Jason about football games and weekend plans. I avoided Layla completely. But she made that impossible. She sent messages. She liked every post I shared. She even drove by my place and left a coffee on my porch with a napkin that read, "I cannot stop thinking about that night." The guilt ate at me like rot. But the desire never left either. One Friday evening, I was out walking my dog through our neighborhood when I saw her car parked at the end of my street. She was leaning on the hood, arms crossed, eyes locked on mine the second I looked up. She said she just needed to talk. We went inside. We did not talk. It became a habit after that. A toxic, magnetic rhythm that neither of us had the strength to break. When Jason worked late, she came over. When he traveled for work, we spent entire nights together. It was always frantic, like we were racing against a truth we refused to speak out loud. The emotional weight was unbearable. But the pull between us was worse. Every kiss tasted like fire. Every touch felt like confession. But the moment it ended, shame would wrap around me like a noose. I would ask myself how I became this person, how the girl who once punched a boy for cheating in high school became the woman hiding under the sheets with her best friend's wife. I started avoiding Jason. Dodging his calls. Canceling plans. He noticed, of course. One afternoon he showed up unannounced at my apartment. He looked nervous. Off. Like he was carrying something heavy but did not know how to say it. He sat on my couch, stared at the floor, and finally asked, "Why do you keep looking at her like that?" My heart stopped. I played dumb. Pretended I did not understand. He said he had noticed things. Glances. Weird tension. The way Layla talked about me more than she talked about her job or their marriage. I told him he was overthinking it. I smiled. I lied. And he believed me. That was the moment I knew I was not just betraying my best friend. I was destroying him. The guilt turned into panic. I tried to distance myself again. I stopped answering Layla's messages. I avoided any gathering that involved the two of them. I thought that if I could cut it off cleanly, everything would fade. But love, if that is what it was, does not fade on command. Layla showed up at my job one afternoon. She was waiting in the back parking lot, sunglasses on, hair in a loose bun, looking like every fantasy and every mistake I had tried to forget. She got into my car without asking. She said she missed me. She cried. I almost did too. And once again. I let her kiss me. But that time, something felt different. It was not frantic. It was not secretive. It was slow. Deep. Like we both knew the end was near. We sat in the car after, not touching, not speaking. The windows were fogged, and reality was seeping in like poison through a cracked door. Layla finally whispered, "I think I married the wrong person." I asked her if she planned on telling him. She did not answer. Later that week, a neighbor knocked on Jason's door. An older woman, nosy but kind, who lived across the street. She told him she had seen Layla at my place multiple nights when he was not home. Sometimes she stayed till morning. Jason called me that night. He did not yell. He did not accuse. He simply said, "Tell me the truth." I froze. Because the truth would destroy everything. Jason's voice on the phone that night had been calm, too calm. He had asked for the truth, and I knew that if I gave it to him, there would be no turning back. I sat in silence, with the phone still pressed to my ear and the weight of all my shame settling into my chest like concrete. I wanted to say it. I wanted to be brave. But I was not. So I lied. I told him that the neighbor must have misunderstood. That Layla only ever stopped by a couple times, to drop something off or pick something up. I said there was nothing going on. He paused for a long time and then said, "All right. I believe you." But I could hear the crack in his voice. I had shattered something in him, and I had not even confessed yet. Layla called me that same night. She was crying, frantic. Jason had asked her the same questions. She told me he had not looked at her the same since. "He knows," she whispered through her tears. "Even if he does not know how, he knows." I wanted to comfort her. I wanted to take her in my arms and pretend that this was not falling apart, but I could not ignore what we had done. We had not just crossed a line. We had destroyed someone who loved us both. Weeks passed, and the silence grew. Jason stopped texting me. He stopped inviting me over. Layla said he was sleeping in the guest room. She begged me to meet her, just to talk, to make sense of it all. I agreed. We met in a quiet park near the edge of town. She wore a hoodie and sunglasses, like she was trying to hide from the world, and maybe from herself. She looked broken. And yet, when we sat down on that bench, she grabbed my hand like it was still the only thing holding her together. "I cannot go back to pretending," she whispered. "Not with him. Not with myself." Her words hit me harder than I expected. We sat in silence until the sun dipped low. Then she turned to me and said, "I need to tell him." I nodded. I did not stop her. Because I could not live with the lie either. That night, she told Jason everything. He did not scream. He did not curse. He just left the house. Packed a bag and drove away. He stayed in a hotel for a few days before finally calling me. That call was the hardest conversation of my life. He said he felt like he had been punched in the chest by both of us at once. He said he loved me like a brother. That he would have taken a bullet for me. And that the pain he felt was not just betrayal, but humiliation. And the worst part? He asked me why. Why her? Why him? Why now? And I did not have an answer. The fallout was ugly. Jason filed for divorce 2 weeks later. Layla moved out and went to stay with her sister. And me? I lost them both. I thought that maybe after the dust settled, Layla and I could make something real out of what we had. That maybe if the truth was out, we could finally stop hiding and start healing. But that was a lie too. Because once we stepped out of the shadows, all we had was guilt, grief, and consequences. The chemistry that burned so bright in secret faded under the weight of reality. We tried. We met for coffee. We talked about starting over. But every conversation circled back to Jason. To what we did. To the wreckage we left behind. One night, Layla looked at me across the table and said, "Maybe we were only ever meant to exist in the dark." And that was when I knew it was over. Jason eventually moved away. Transferred to a new office. New city. New start. We have not spoken in almost a year. And Layla? She sent me one last message on my birthday. It said, "I hope you found peace. I am still looking for mine." I did not reply. Not because I did not care, but because I finally understood. Some mistakes do not deserve closure. Some stories are not meant to end with happy ever afters. This one ended with silence. With 2 people alone, and one heartbroken man who trusted us both. Her vows were to him. But her hands were on me. And now? I live with both. Forever.